Hi, Stamper fans. Welcome to another Make It Monday. It is a big day here in the studio. I had some guest stampers in the studio. I'll show you that in just a minute. But first, I'm Nan Gerlitz, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Bloomington, Illinois, and I am here live on my Facebook page every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central Time. So I'm really happy to have you join me. If you're watching live, welcome. Drop a comment. I'd love to say hi. If you are watching the replay, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you find some tips and tricks. And also, if you have any questions, you can drop a comment or you can message me and I will do my best to help you out. Okay, so as I said, I am Nan Gerlitz. I'm Stamper Nan everywhere on the internet. And hello, Penny. And I help women rediscover themselves through paper crafting. So because I don't know if you know this, but you don't have to get paid to call yourself an artist. It took me a long time to realize I'm an artist. So, and I actually get paid. So, but you don't have to. If you put ink to paper or pen to paper or, whatever, you're an artist. So, all right. So first, we had some guest stampers in the studio this evening. And they made some fabulous creations that I wanted to share with you. We have the boys tonight. So this, let me flip my camera down. This masterpiece is Jeffrey's City. So as you can see, we have train tracks and roads. We've got cool red and green helicopter. We've got cool green, looks like a Volkswagen Beetle. Got some steam coming out of the trains. We got some buildings. We had to do some creativity there because I don't have any building stamps. So we just used the shapes to make buildings. It's fine. And I will say, very proud of the boy for listening so well because he said he wanted to use red, real red, because I told him that was what the color was once, and he remembered. And then we have James's. James was using Starry Sky. And he was all about the cars and the helicopters. And I'll have you know that James stamped those filler stamps all by himself. And he is not quite 4 yet. So if the little dude can do it, you can do it. So yes, so we've got train tracks and roads and buildings. And this is the circle roof on that building because we just worked with what we had. So we have a couple of artists in the making as well, right? They love that. So lots of color, always very vibrant color gets picked when the boys come over to stamp. So I did want to share those with you. Oh, that's funny. Jeffrey, Penny says that you know the colors better than she does. Well, that's probably because I have fewer colors than you do, I bet, in your studio, Penny. Because I don't keep the old ones out, so. All right, so thank you very much, boys, for joining us down in the studio tonight. After I'm done here, I'm going to have to give my Stampin' Scrub and quite a few of my blocks a really good bath. They got pretty inky. Okay, so tonight we are making this cool daisy card that I just, made up out of my brain on Friday night. And I'm going to show you how it's so easy to do. Oh, look at that. Great job, Jeffrey and James, Penny says. Yay, boys. All righty. So we're actually using one of the online exclusive stamp sets tonight, which is the Irresistible Blooms. And I'm really only using it for the greeting because when I started to make this card, I tell you guys, I kind of just start with one thing and then it just all gets made up as I go along. So I was looking at the punches that we're retiring and I saw our medium daisy punch. And I thought, well, I could do something out of that. Well, I punched it out of a piece of just random cardstock. And I was going to play with it because originally I was going to try to make like a lion's mane around an animal stamp. That wasn't going to work out really well. But as I looked at that, I thought, I could use that as a stencil. So what I did was I took a piece of, I actually used soft succulent just because that one's retiring and I have a bunch of it. So it's basically scrap cardstock for me now. So I grabbed a piece of cardstock, cut it to the size of a full card front, and then I just punched the daisy out of it all over the place. So this is your cool little stencil now, right? So this will work with any punch shape that you have or any die. And I've got 3 alternative cards to show you at the end of the video tonight. And so I started off, I have a piece of 5 1/4 by 4 inch basic white. And so there's a couple ways you can do this. I actually used my Stamparatus when I did it, and I just put the magnets down to keep it in place. But that is sold out now, and it's gone. So I thought, well, since not everybody has it, I wanted to give you an alternative. So you can use washi tape or the Post-it tape that I always use for my dies. I do like to take a little bit of the sticky off because I don't want it to be like, I don't want it to rip everything when I pull it off. So if you just tape down, a couple of your edges. It's my fancy schmancy way of taking some of the sticky off. We're going to do down this corner too. Okay, so now I'm going to start with my Flirty Flamingo ink pad because I thought a pretty pink would look nice. And I grabbed my blending brush for the reds. Reds, pinks, same diff. So just going to get some ink on here, and I'm going to start off of the cutout. So just kind of on here to get that main, blob of ink kind of off because I didn't want it to be really harsh in one spot. So I'm not using a lot of ink. I wanted it to be a pretty subtle effect. This is the only issue I had, and I should have put tape right there. That's okay. That's just going to not be quite as defined. No biggie. I'll just hide that under the other part. So if you do have parts like that that are kind of, held together pretty delicately, you obviously want to press a lot lighter in those areas. So pick your die or your punch with that in mind, something that's going to hold together while you're, blending the ink over it. So as you can see, though, this is a very easy technique. And if you start thinking about all the punches and the dies that you have, which ones would work? So think about that. And then you could just make your stencils and use them over and over and over until they're pretty cruddy and soaked with ink, I guess, and then make a new one, right? So I just have one of these microfiber cloths, and I literally just brush my brush on it after I'm done, and that gets the ink off of it. They are stained. You can also, wash them with like dish soap or a little shampoo and then let them dry. I have no patience for letting them dry. I want them to be just able to be used right away. So I tend to just rub it all off. And if you notice, no more pink. So, and I've dedicated my brushes to kind of a certain color family. So that's for my reds and obviously pinks. I might have to designate one for pinks. And then what I decided, pull this up, and I decided, you know what, that wasn't quite enough. Now, obviously, if I was just going to use that as the whole card front, add a greeting, maybe a little ribbon or something, I could call that done, no problem. And I'll show you one that's much simpler as well. But I decided that it wasn't quite enough coverage. So what I did was I flipped it around and just kind of offset those punches a little bit so they would land in different places. I have not tried the smaller brushes yet, Penny, because I have these larger ones. I guess we don't use them all the time, so There's so many things on my list. I know you know how I feel there. so so I just haven't moved those to the top of the list yet, but I am very intrigued by them, especially for obviously smaller applications. So now I have got my green brush and I've got soft sea foam because I wanted something really light. And we're going to see how this turns out because on the one I did Friday night, it came out a little more brownish. I think there was probably some old olive or something left in that brush. So we'll see if I cleaned it well enough tonight. Or maybe I'm pulling some pink in off there. Maybe I should have done the green first, huh? That's okay. So once again, we'll start on the cardstock and not on the punched area. And it probably doesn't look like it's doing a whole lot because this is a very light color and I'm not adding a whole lot of color either. I don't remember if I did that one. Okay, so that is all of our green. Once again, I'm just going to use that same dirty microfiber cloth and just scrub out that leftover green on there so I'm ready to go to a different green and it won't pollute it, right? We are all good. Okay, let's lift this up and see what we've got because it might be a little bit different. Yeah, see? So I don't know if it's pulling in the pink or if I just still have some residual other green or what, but it's really cool, actually. I liked how it turned out. So it was a happy little accident. Okay, so I decided which side did I want to be under this strip. I really like this area, so I want it showing. So you just flip it around until you got what you like. Okay, so we've got Flirty Flamingo for our card base. It's just a standard card base of 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And look, guys, I made a landscape card. Like I never make landscape cards. And I don't mean to not do it. I just, it just never happens. I do need to grab my trimmer real quick. Because I've got a little strip of the Hello Irresistible designer paper that goes with that stamp set. Oh, that side's pretty too. So it's got the soft sea foam, which is so pretty. But I do like this with the leaves. So we're going to use that. So this one is 2 inches by 5 1/4. I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch off. We're going to use that for the inside of our card. And then this end, we're going to cut down to 4 inches. That's how tall our piece of white is. But it just made more sense to cut that into a big piece and then show you how to trim it down. Okay, so a little assembly. Here is our inside piece, which is the same as the front. So it's 5 1/4 by 4. Grab our adhesive here. And I'm just going to pop that up top. You know what? If you don't want to worry about getting it perfectly even with the top, you can always leave a little bit of white showing. Looks totally cool too. And that way you kind of know where you are. It's just a little bit longer, so we'll trim that little piece. Let's pop this inside. Just a little bit of Stampin' Seal on every corner. That'll do it. All right, I want a confession time for anybody that's watching. How many of you have ever assembled your card upside down? I have. I know several of the people that have been at classes and stuff with me They've done it. It's something that I think every paper crafter has done at least once in their time. So, and it's very easy to fix that. You can just cut the front off and put it on another card base. It's easy. All right, so this one, I've got like it's about a 1/2-inch strip, 3/4-inch strip of Flirty Flamingo. And I'm just going to line that so it's got a little edge to it. This guy can go on the front. Again, a little bit of Stampin' Seal in each corner is all you need. It's a very good adhesive. I liked this one, right? So you can either assemble this part together and then put it on, or do just like I did and put that on first and then this. A couple of little spots of adhesive there. And this one is going to go top to bottom. So it kind of looks like this is a shorter piece, but it's actually, so you can make it shorter, obviously. Yeah, see, I figured people would be raising their hands on that, because seriously, we've all done it. That is why I usually keep dental floss, not usually, always keep dental floss on my crafting island, because you can use it to saw between the layers of cardstock and peel off a layer so that you don't have to start from scratch or anything like that. So originally, I was going to punch my little oval that I needed out of this piece that was going to be covered, but then I realized I had the double oval punch, so it would leave this big other oval right out of the middle. That wasn't going to work. So I've just grabbed a scrap of white, and we're just going to punch out an oval. I'll stamp my greeting. Hello. All right, which song do you hear when you see the word hello? Is it Lionel Richie? Is it Adele? What's your groove? Or is it something different? Where did my Flirty Flamingo pad go? There it is. Yes, now what was the name of the movie? Stamper Man's upstairs singing this hello song from a movie that I feel like Robin Williams was in it. I can't remember. They were all in a psychiatric facility. It was very funny. That's actually what got into my head when I said hello to start with. So I'm right there with him, clearly. All right, just give that a quick clean. So how's that? A nice stamping lesson, and that was the only stamping we're doing. Melissa Etheridge. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, so I'm going to go have to look that one up, because I don't know that just from that reference. I bet I do if I heard it. So, but afterwards, I'm going to look that one up, because I love Melissa Etheridge. So that's a fun one. Now maybe I'll hear something different. Probably not. I'm probably still going to hear that same thing from the movie. Okay, and then we need a couple of dimensionals, because wouldn't be a meat card without dimensionals. This is like the hardest, the most like woo over the top part of this whole card, right? Okay, right there in that little space, and there we go. Oops, I used soft sea foam on that one. So 2 different versions of our hello card. So there you go. How easy was that? Like I started this video 19 minutes ago, and I spent the first couple of minutes showing you guys other things. So that's a simple card. And if you didn't have to explain it while you were doing it, you could do it even faster. So, but as I said, I've got some alternatives for you. So the first one I took from the Give It a Whirl die set. There's a couple of cloud dies. So I just took that same piece. I have my stencils right here. So I took that same size piece and just die cut a few clouds out, right? put it over, and just did a little bit of blending with some balmy blue. And how cool is that? Super, super simple. A little bit of blends on the mushroom and the butterfly. I stamped these with, put them on the same block and stamped them all at once. A couple of sequins. Boom, we're done. Yeah, the Flirty Flamingo does pop a little more for sure, which is, I think, in my head why I thought I must have used it. But I think I wanted the daisies to shine, and so that's why I went soft seafoam at first. But that's okay. I like them both. Okay, the next one, in the Something Fancy die set, there's this little leaf kind of configuration like this. So I literally just kept turning it upside up and upside down, and alternated it all over in a little tiled pattern. And then I grabbed our Country Wreaths dies and the Cottage Wreath stamp set. And so this is Parakeet Party for the stenciling. And then I just die cut the wreath in a pretty little freesia ribbon. A little bit of the old olive for the greeting. Bam. Really love how that turned out. Now, I will say, I think this next one is my favorite. So this, again, came from the Give It a Whirl die set. And there's 4 different size heart dies in that. So I took it and made this like all over different size hearts, right? And then I did an ombre effect, which I must say I love and is very easy to do with the blending brushes. So I started by just doing a fresh freesia all over. And then I came back and used Gorgeous Grape just in the middle. And then I came back with Blackberry Bliss up top. A little corner punch, a little greeting. Literally, that was it. Stamps, ink, paper, one punch. Which is really pretty much how that came together. Stamps, ink, paper, one punch. Well, you do have to use the dies to get the stencil, but if you had punches or something else, you could do that as well. So lots of stamp, ink, paper here. Some very easy ways to make fabulous cards, and you can make them again and again and again because you have these stencils all done now. If you wanted to do these, you could even like laminate a sheet of cardstock first and then die cut it, or punch it, and then it would be a little sturdier if you really knew you were going to use it for a long, long time. But I'm telling you, this is going to hold up no problem for a very long time. So there you go. Thank you very much, Penny. Yeah, I was really very happy with them. I mean, like I whipped up these other 3 pretty quickly because we were out of town this past weekend. So we actually went up to, let me pop up here so we can chat for a minute. We went up to Chicago to see the Book of Mormon on Saturday night. So funny, very inappropriate. So if that's not your jam, I don't recommend it. But if that is your jam, hilarious. It's very much my jam. I'm basically a 12-year-old. So if you're not familiar with Book of Mormon, it was written by the guys that wrote South Park. So, oh, hello, Lucia. We're just finishing up. So, but definitely go back and watch from the beginning because I think you'll like it. But yeah, so we went to see Book of Mormon Saturday night. So we drove up on Saturday morning to Chicago. Beautiful, like 82, 83 degrees, mostly sunny. Got up there, had lunch at one of our favorite spots, and then took a walk on the river walk. And then, if any of you have seen the TV show The Bear on Hulu, it is shot up in Chicago at Mr. Beef. And so we actually took a walk down to Mr. Beef and got some pictures. I'll have to post them in my stories tomorrow. But we got some pictures of the Mr. Beef and selfies, with the sign in the background and anything. So that was fun. And then right next door, there was this little tavern that apparently is one of the few remaining wooden structures in Chicago. It was built the year after the Great Chicago Fire. And then right after that, they passed an ordinance saying no more wooden structures. There's actually a speakeasy in the basement. So it was such a cool place, like really vintage vibe, but just really cool. So we chilled there for a little bit, had a water, had a beer, whatever. walked back to the hotel, got ready, went to the show. And then, yesterday we were on our way home and gosh, IKEA is like practically on our way home. So yeah, we stopped at IKEA because I'm not going to say no to an IKEA trip. So so yeah, when we got home last night, I had to like whip things together for my live and then whip up the alternatives, and that's how quick it was. I still got done in plenty of time to watch American Idol, and we're good. So yeah, very full weekend, very very good. Yesterday was much chillier than we expected. We did pack for the weather, but we thought it would be a little warmer, and so neither of us brought a coat, and it was rainy and windy and cold. So I was very happy to get home and put on a blanket. All right. I think that's all I have for you tonight. So if you learned something new here today, if you discovered a tip or a trick or something you want to learn, want to try out, save the video and share the video so your friends and family can learn something new too. All right. Thanks so much for joining me. Till next week, I'm still Nan Gerlitz. Happy stamping.